Well, now have a look at the camera calibration panel, which is down here. This is probably one of the first panels you need to go to for certain types of images if you want to. You've got the camera calibration, the lens correction and the transform. These ones are the ones that you should address if the image requires it at the beginning. Now then, camera calibration. Let's just, before we go to the panel, if you just notice here in the histogram panel here, we've got a little lightning bolt here, and when I put my cursor across it, it says process 2010. And when we look in the basic panel, you might notice that the controls that we've got available are different to what we've been used to. And this is because this image has been processed quite a while ago with a different version of Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw, and it's remembered the process version that it was created in or adjusted in. And so what it's saying here is, hey, we need to update the process version because these controls are the old controls and they're not as effective as the latest version or the rest of the raw processing engine. It's using an old version. So we could select it and update this image. If we've got a whole load of them in our film strip at the bottom that all need updating, we could update all the film strip photos. Okay, but I'll just update this particular image and you should see that all the controls have shifted, well, they've changed to the updated version. And I'll just double click that one there. So all the controls are central now. If we go to our camera calibration panel, we can see that it's now the 2012 current version. And if we've got, select down here, we can see we've got options for 2010 and 2003. 2003 was the very first option, very first version. And again, if we go back to our basic panel, all the sliders are reverted back to the old standard. I'll just select it again, update, the sliders change. Okay, so it's important that if you're opening an image that's already been processed in an older version, you may wish to continue to use the older version so you maintain the settings, but my advice is generally to try and use the current version of Camera Raw, which is what this is based on. For all new images or images that haven't been processed by older versions of Lightroom, the 2012 will be set automatically, so you wouldn't have to worry about it. Down here we have sliders to slightly adjust shadow, tint sliders. I never use these. These are designed to try and simulate or correct different cameras. So if you've got a few cameras, you might want to try and balance the different tones that might be generated by, or different colors generated by the different sensors in the cameras. So that's how you would do it in here, but I've never felt the need to use these. But the other good thing in here is we've got this drop down here. Now when you take a picture in your camera as a JPEG image, you've got options to select landscape, portrait, and that will apply a different color and tonal rendering to the image. Now Adobe have created their own equivalents, so they've tried to simulate the effects that you would get with a JPEG image within Camera Raw. So you've got Adobe Standard, which is the standard. You've got Faithful, so with a Canon camera, because it's recognizing this has been taken with a Canon camera. So this is how Adobe thinks Canon represents a faithful image. Landscape. You can see that the colors are boosted and that. So this might be a useful starting point for when you're starting your processing of an individual image. Camera standard. Okay, so there's different renderings, and once you've selected that, of course, maybe you want to go back to landscape, you can then go back to your basic panel and start making tweaks from there. But that's a good start to start your processing journey. So just make sure you're using the latest version, and anything that hasn't been processed before will automatically be applied. If not, you'll just see a little lightning bolt here in the histogram panel.